Welcome to the Black and White of It podcast, a podcast where two very different women discuss all things life. Our hope is that by discussing our different and similar perspectives on many aspects of life, people will consider viewpoints that they never thought about before. And now, here are your hosts, Donna and Amy, back with another great topic. All right, let's start the show.
Welcome back to the Black and White of It podcast. We are your hosts, Donna
and Amy.
And today we will be talking about food. Most of us love food, and so we thought this would be an interesting topic, maybe something we definitely can be black and white on. But before we get too deep into the discussion, let's have our quote of the week. Author Malcolm Forbes. Food may be essential as fuel for the body, but good food is fuel for the soul. I really like that one. Of course, I like all the ones that I pick for us to discuss or for me to mention each week. But of course, good food is fuel for the soul. And that has a lot of different meanings. I can think of it as when you're sitting down for a good meal with your family, it's good for the soul to fellowship and talk and be with each other. It could be the smell or the taste of something inciting a great or good memory, and that is good for your soul. So there's a lot of things that we could really glean from this quote, but I hope you enjoy, and let's get into the show. Okay, Amy, let's start off with your debacle for the day when it comes to food or cooking.
Well, I had some very, very old bananas, like old as in basically dark brown. So I decided I was going to make some banana bread. Got on to Pinterest, looked up world's best banana bread recipe, and it's beautiful, but it does not taste like the world's best banana bread to me. The last putting in the dry ingredients, it had me fold them in. So like I can almost taste like in certain spots of it, like baking soda, maybe baking powder. I don't know. It's my 10-year-old decided it was dry. That's a good way to describe it. Kind of plain, kind of dry. It's just definitely not the world's best banana bread. So when we moved to our new house, two of our neighbors brought us banana bread, and theirs was much more delicious than the one that I made today. Terrible. 0 out of 10 for sure. Although I still ate it.
Of course. But I laugh because when we talk about cooking, this is a lot of what Amy says. It was a disaster. It was a failure. Now, that's when she tries new things. I'm not talking about her normal cooking for her family. I think she does just fine with that. But she's tried macaroni and cheese a couple times to no avail. And yeah, even different recipes. What else have you tried that maybe quote unquote black people make better?
Terrible at macaroni and cheese. Oh, there was something just recently that I was like, well, I'm not so great at that either. What was it? I don't remember. Do you remember?
It wasn't dressing.
I'm good at that.
Think about it.
Yeah, I'll have to, maybe like deviled eggs or something like that. Terrible at those.
Was it deviled eggs? Yes, it was deviled eggs because you said that your son would still eat them.
Yes, I'm awful. They're so bad. And yes, I do think that, I guess that we associate black grandmothers with cooking macaroni and cheese and deviled eggs. And mine just, neither one of those recipes turned out for me ever. I've tried every recipe.
So I am not a cook at all. At all. Now, there are a handful of things that I will cook for myself, but I don't cook for other people. Let me rephrase that. I don't cook for other people. I've done it a handful of times. Most recently, I made some yeast rolls for Thanksgiving. I surprised my mom. That's how much I don't cook. I surprised my mom with these yeast rolls, and they were so good. Of course, I would try something difficult where you have to have the dough rise, but they were so good, and I chronicled in videos, and I was so proud of myself that this yeast rolls dough rose, and they baked really well. They were really good. She was impressed. But that tells you about how often I cook for other people. So, but I'm single, and that's it's harder to cook for one person. I mean, you definitely can do it, but you end up with a whole lot of leftovers, and I can only eat leftovers for so many days. Or you decide, oh, I'll just make enough for tonight, and then maybe you want it tomorrow. Then you end up cooking a little bit more than you need to. But that's part of the reason why I probably eat out so much, go through the drive-through, because it's just me. And some of the recipes and stuff, there's just so many ingredients. I mean, you spend all this money to use something once. I don't know. I go through phases where I'll cook all the time, and then phases where I won't cook for months. Or, I'll just heat up stuff like green beans and just, fry something like that. That's quick. So that is our cooking conversation. So, favorite foods, Amy. What are your favorite foods?
Definitely Mexican food and like pizza for sure.
A specific type of pizza?
I'll eat any kind of pizza, but no pineapple on it. Other kind of pizza is perfect for me.
I like ham and pineapple pizza. It's not something I particularly get often, but when I do eat it, I enjoy it. I don't have a problem with it, but it's ham and pepperoni, not really anything else. My favorite foods are pizza and hot wings, and I'll say typically it's going to be pepperoni pizza. I like meat lovers, but I also like buffalo chicken pizza. That's on up there, and I probably wouldn't eat that with wings. But as a child, we would get pizza and wings. And I actually recently watched something where they talked about kind of how those two things ended up being married, the pizza and wings years ago. I can't remember the exact story behind it, but I've been eating it since I was a child, and so I still love to eat it. My favorite pizza company, though, is Pizza Hut. I love their wings. And then there's Marco's. Their pizza is more authentic. And then you've got, maybe local type restaurants that have good stuff too. I used to make pizza at home fairly often, especially when I was really, really into losing weight. And that way I could keep up with what was being put in it. And I would still eat pizza and wings when I was doing Weight Watchers way back. So pizza will probably always be a part of my food repertoire. What about desserts? What's your favorite dessert?
Cake. I like cake a lot, like birthday cake.
That's the only kind of cake.
I'll eat any kind of cake. I'll eat any kind of dessert. I do not like fruit with ice cream. No fruit, nothing warm fruit and ice cream does not go for me.
Oh no, you don't eat like apple pie with vanilla ice cream?
No.
Are you crazy?
Terrible. I'll eat ice cream plain. I don't really prefer apple pie. I mean, I'll pick the crust off of it, but I prefer like chocolate, fudge pie, pecan pie, any kind of cake pretty much. I'm a cake. I love cake.
Wow. I'm the same. I like all desserts, but I'm more of an ice cream person, so that might be why I like to eat it. Actually, last night at a meeting, I had chocolate ice cream, actually, with Oreo chunks in it, Oreo cookie pieces in it. It was so good. So, so good. I'm not a huge cobbler fan, but I will eat apple pie with vanilla ice cream. I'll eat a brownie with vanilla ice cream. I will. Peach cobbler is probably the very bottom of the list as far as desserts go. I like banana pudding. I like things like millionaire pies and egg pie. What's the other name for egg pie? What did we decide?
Chess pie.
Chess pie. That's right. Chess pie. I eat all that stuff. So it's pretty hard for me to find a dessert that I don't like. I like, oh my gosh, what's it called? The custard dessert, and you put the heat on it and then you put fruit. You know
Creme
what I'm talking
brulee.
about? Creme brulee, yes. Creme
I wouldn't like
brulee.
that.
You don't like it?
I probably would not know.
It's at the top of my list. It's a top 3. And I probably didn't try it until I was late 20s. And almost every time I can get it, I will, unless I'm somewhere new and want to try something different. So, yeah, cookies, ice cream, cake, cupcakes. I eat just about everything. And I like fruit too. I can eat fruit as dessert too. Depends on what it is and kind of what's going on. So yeah, that's my favorite. My favorite thing to cook though is probably fried foods because it's real easy to drop them in the skillet. I used to have a deep fryer and I would fry chicken wings all the time, but I think I gave one away and then one was super cheap, so it conked out pretty fast and I never replaced it. So that's probably my favorite thing to cook. Do you have a favorite thing to cook?
Probably casseroles or something like that. Desserts.
Casseroles.
Or maybe like desserts, like I said, maybe like cakes, pies. I'm better at baking than I am at cooking out for sure.
Oh, well, I can't. I mean, like I said, I can't do either, so I really can't. I really don't know. I do like to make homemade hot wings outside of frying food. Homemade hot wings are easy too, and I love to make those. Okay, so let's see. What else did we want to talk about here? Dinner time. How does your dinner time go for you now that you have your own family?
Right now, in the season of life we're in, my husband is able to cook. He cooks a little bit more than I do. He gets off at a certain time, able to come home and cook. Tonight, I actually cooked dinner. When the kids were little, obviously, I pretty much took care of the dinner time, and then probably he would clean up. But now it's a little bit backwards. He cooks a lot more than I do. Also, just had like this season of being sick. So when I was cooking today, wow, everything in my cabinets is a mess. There's sticky stuff everywhere. My 10-year-old likes to bake, so there's baking goods everywhere. And nothing's in its right place. The spatulas are wrong. The cups are wrong. The measuring spoons, just everything is not in the right place. But I'm going to get things back together now that I'm starting to feel a little bit better.
So, do you guys sit down together at the table and eat, or how does that go?
Sometimes we did tonight. My older kids, like if we can all catch a day together once a month or so, we definitely sit down to eat. Today, we definitely sat down and ate together. It's summer. When school comes back around, it's really hard. They have practice late. My daughter has practice late. So we usually just kind of grab and go. But when I was sick, I feel like they kind of ate together and then they would bring me food if I was able to eat. But the goal would always be to sit down if we could. Now that the kids are older in every stage of life, it's really hard.
Yeah, I get that. Well, what about when you were growing up? How did dinner time go?
We definitely ate dinner together as a family. My parents were pretty good about making sure. I wouldn't say every single night, but for the majority of the time, we would eat. There was only 3 of us, me, my mom, and my dad, and we did eat together. My neighbors came over some. And then when my kids were little, we always had family dinner time. It was foreign to me that we would ever be in a place of life where it wouldn't happen. I remember people talking about that, and now here I am in the place where that we definitely just cannot always eat together.
Yeah, it's crazy how things change.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say for me, right now, of course, I eat alone. So I might eat in my living room. I might eat in bed. Yes, I'm a person who eats in bed quite frequently. My dining room table has maybe been used once if that, probably not by me. And I've not had a lot of guests. I'm thinking of where I live now, where this apartment that I'm in, I've been here 3.5 years. And a lot of people haven't been here. I just never really eat at the dining room table. It's always in the living room when I have guests. So that tells you a lot about what I do now. As a child, I was in a single parent household. And so I ate alone quite a bit. My mom would bring home food at night, and I probably, same thing, ate on the couch or ate in my bed. And I probably ate at the table every now and then. I don't remember when my parents were together, us eating all together, but I was super, super duper young. So it might have happened, it might not have. I'll have to ask my mom that if we ever like sat at a table together, because by the time they were divorced, I was in kindergarten, so I would have been old enough to sit at the table. It wasn't like I was a baby. So that's something I'll have to see. I will say, with my dad and his second wife and my little brother, we always sat down together to eat. We sat at the table, or they had a bar. We would sit at the bar and we would all eat together. And that was nice. That's probably the most of that type of atmosphere I've ever had. So whenever I would go to visit them, we ate together. And I really enjoyed that. There might have been a very rare occasion where we didn't, maybe lunchtime, or if, somebody was working, something like that, where we didn't. But for the most part, dinner, we always sat down and fellowshipped together, and it was nice. And we might have a movie or TV on in the background. So yeah, those are those are my family memories as far as food goes. So with that, I kind of want to move into holidays. And I also want to talk about the food that we eat for holidays, because I know typically for Black and white people, it's different. There might be a little bit of overage for some people that might eat more of what Amy would eat versus me with the Black and white thing. But I always thought it was very interesting that we eat different things for different holidays. And so, what do you consider a traditional Thanksgiving meal?
Turkey and dressing, ham, and then in our family, we have scallop potatoes. We do not have mashed potatoes. And then we sometimes have some corn, sweet potatoes or sweet potato casserole, green beans. That sounds about rolls. And then, of course, desserts, pumpkin pie, and any other dessert somebody wants to bring. Maybe a fudge pie, pecan pie, something like that.
Okay, so for me, I am not a huge turkey person. I like deli turkey more than I like a carving turkey, but that has been a part of the meals. Fried turkey has been a part of the meals. We don't ever attempt to fry the turkeys ourselves. I don't think we'll see that happening. But yes, so turkey, ham, the same, macaroni and cheese, green beans or green bean casserole, dressing, sweet potatoes or yams, and greens. Collard greens are my favorite, but there could be turnip greens as well. That's up there. And then for dessert is usually banana pudding if I'm with my mom. If I was with my dad's family, it could be German chocolate cake, red velvet cake. It's more of the cakey stuff. Also with my mom, it could be millionaire pie. Her family, it could be the egg or chess pie. I haven't had that in so long. I would love to maybe I'll attempt to make one versus asking someone to make one. So there's a lot of similarities there, but mashed potatoes, or corn, I definitely don't consider as part of holiday food. Definitely not scalloped potatoes. Amy was very sweet one year and brought me Thanksgiving dinner, and I was like, oh, potatoes. I think there was corn too. I mean, I ate all of it. It was great. And it was turkey. And I ate all of it. It was great. It was very sweet of Amy to think of me since I was here alone, because we were still in a big part of COVID.
Oh, it was quarantine. I was like, I couldn't remember why, but that's exactly what happened. It
Yeah.
was definitely a bad quarantine at that
Yeah,
time.
and I didn't want to, me and my mom didn't want to be around each other. Of course, that was before vaccines and all that. So we didn't want to be around each other just in case, to be safe. And so I stayed home. But so that's, there's definitely an overlap there, but I still would consider the way things are prepared, but to be quite different, because again, Amy can't make macaroni and cheese like my family makes it. The dressing is probably even different.
Oh, you would know. It probably was way different, I would think.
Yeah, it was different. I can't remember the exact difference though.
Right.
My mom and my dad, their dressings slamming. I love them. Not to say that yours is bad. I remember eating it, so it couldn't have been bad. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's just different. We just have to be honest about that. Black and white people cook things differently. We probably put a lot more fat in ours, a lot more salt pork, and that's not macaroni and cheese, but I'm just saying in general, in certain things that are prepared.
Like I season bland, and my whole family thinks I season bland. So your seasoning is definitely not going to be bland like mine.
Yeah, you got the white girl seasoning going on.
I totally do. I admit that. Even my kids salt their food. I don't like seasoning much.
And there's so many jokes around that, like when the black men are dating white women. They're like, this is salt.
Right.
This is Lowry seasoning salt. It's hilarious. So
you own all of that. I just don't put it in there.
So yeah, so that's food, and really this is just a fun topic to talk about in this type of way versus always talking about food negatively. It's nice to kind of go down memory lane and think about kind of how things have changed or things we've done when we sit for a meal, or the types of food we like to prepare. So I hope you guys enjoyed our black and white discussion on our food choices and our holidays and family differences and our actual day-to-day differences in food. So anything to close us out, Amy?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, and we can't wait until the next time.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Black and White of It podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we truly, greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Black and White of It podcast.